Hi guys, hello and welcome to another episode of Heart to Heart with Estitude, where I share with you inspiring and engaging posts as we journey to live our best lives. How are you? How have you been? How has the year been for you? Well, today, where I'm recording from, is the 28th day of December. Hopefully, I'll be able to publish this today because I want it to go out before the year ends. But it's been an interesting year, 2020. Even in church, on social media, everywhere, people are like, 2020, it was a turbulent year, and all of that. And I just want to talk to you today about 2020, the year. Let's do a review, and how we're moving from this year, what your plans are for the next year. So I chat with you. So I'll be asking you questions or suggesting things to do. So when I get there, I just want you to go to your social media or send me an email. Send me an email to omikunleesther@gmail.com or go to my social media, Estitude_ on Instagram, Estitude on Twitter, and drop me a chat. Send me a DM. Let's talk. Let's engage. So there was a funny meme going around recently about 2020, and people just summarize it as 2020. It began. We had COVID. We had the EndSARS movement. We had weddings, and that's it. So we had for most of February, sure till now, there's COVID, right? Then EndSARS was a thing we experienced late in the year. August, I think it was September. Again, it was a movement against the oppression of the SARS and SWAT and all of that. It was quite a serious time for us here in Nigeria. And then after that wave, we had so many weddings, and even now we had the pajamas, Christmas themed family shoots and all of that. And it's just amazing how a year can be, at the beginning of the year, right? I'm sure you had plans. People had plans, Vision 2020 was the thing. People that were like my set in uni, people that I know would be like Vision 2020 for those that wanted to get married, Vision 2020 for those that wanted to travel. And people had visions, people had goals, they had high hopes for the year. And it's just amazing how we learn that as humans, there's so much that we can actually cover. There's so much that we can actually, manage. We literally just what we are, human beings. Right? There's so many things we cannot control. And that's one of the things this year has taught us. You set your goals, you have visions, you have ideas you want to execute, and then things happen beyond your control. How do you handle that? You realize that you can't, maybe you had plans to travel and you can't travel anymore because the lockdown restrictions. You had plans to expand your business to another city, that can't happen, or maybe you have to go virtual. Okay, another thing is you begin to then innovate. I think that's something this year has brought us again, innovation. Digital innovation. For many people, for many businesses, they learned that it's either you go digital or you go home. They say go big or go home. So this year was go digital or go home for your business. How do you scale? Seeing the many restrictions that the year has brought. As a country, I think in Nigeria we had to deal with a lot more than even EndSARS and COVID. There were several scenarios, security issues unnumbered, fire outbreaks, and several things that were dampening. As individuals personally, I went through scenarios that made me literally cry. I think I literally started the years with tears because I had gone through something that was really personal and painful, And we all have stories as to how this year went. But I think my best consolation or my best experience this year was the year brought me into even a deeper relationship with God. Right? I've been walking with God for years. I think I gave my life to Christ fully in 2011. But when you walk with someone and then you begin to grow with that person, and then you begin to experience things on a deeper level. And it just blows my mind the way God will work with me. And sometimes things won't go as I've planned, even as I've even prayed for. But then He always leaves me an opportunity to be thankful. He always does things, more things than I would even have thought, right? And it's just so amazing. Sometimes I'm just feeling, oh God, I'm so lonely, I'm so this, I'm so that, and God will just work out some things, and I'll be like, whoa, Papa, you are just amazing. Or I'm just praying about something at work, I'm praying about something I have to do, and God begin to raise up people to speak to that thing. I'm thinking of going for something next, and God is just beginning to send someone that says, oh, I need you to help me with this, and that's what's going to push me more towards what I want to achieve. You get, that's on a personal level. So yeah, there are many things that didn't go as planned, but again, it just brought me into a very close walk with God, and it's one of the best things that could have happened to me. Sure, it's the best thing that happened to me this year. So for you, how have you been? Excuse me. How has the year been for you in terms of, how the experiences, that you had to go through, how has it been? How have you been able to hold on and keeping on, And you know what? This is one thing I want you to hold on to. There's always something to be thankful for, even in the worst of situations. I'll say that again. There is always something to be thankful for, even in the most terrible or worst situations. No matter how terrible your 2020 may have been, I'm sure there's something that made you smile. And that's one thing with God, no matter how things may go, He always gives us an opportunity to give thanks. Right? And that's one thing I want you to look at today. I'm going to ask you several things to ask you to do several things. The first thing I want you to do is to do like a review of your 2020. Don't live in denial. When COVID started, then some people were in denial. Nah, it will go, but it didn't go as we planned. And we had to deal. Right? Don't be like some people that said 2020 did not hold. They won't add it to their age. They're not going to add 2020 to their ages. So if I was 16 last year, this year I'm still 16, and next year I'll then be 17. Well, that's not true. So don't be like them. It really happened, right? All the good, the bad, the not so great. So do a review. Write it out in your journal. Write it out in your notepad. Flow with the emotions. Accept the emotions. Just deal with it at that time. And then, like Kemi Onabanjo says, if you guys know Kemi Onabanjo, well, she inspires on a big level, right? She said in her last newsletter she put out for the year, she says to write a Thanksgiving letter to God. Oh well, I usually would do like a review of my 2020, and I've begun to do it for some areas of my life, but writing a Thanksgiving letter to God for the year is not something I thought of prior to that, and it's something I'm going to do. I normally write Thanksgiving letters to God in my journal, but specifically for the year, it's something I want to try, and I think you should try it out soon. Don't just focus on all things that went wrong. Focus on the things everything, and be thankful for the experiences, because the greatest miracle that we've got this year is the miracle of life, the miracle of being alive. That's the greatest miracle. I think everybody's learned that this year. People that we thought were strong, people that we thought had money, people that we thought were in their best state of health, many of them died. And it's not because we're better than them. It's not because we're more righteous or more rich or more talented than those people. It's just mercy, that we've all received. So write a Thanksgiving letter to God. You'll be surprised how it will make you realize that despite all that could have gone wrong and all that went wrong, you are a miracle. Okay. So yeah, so podcast wise for me, I think this year was amazing. We did a lot of podcasts as opposed to previous years. I think you should run through my podcast list to just see what other episodes you've not listened to that I can also listen to, right? Several of them. The conversation series was my highlight for the year. It was so interesting to have several people, even in the midst of Corona, we worked it out. Have them feature on the podcast channel, talk about issues we face as young adults, Yeah, so go listen to it if you've not listened to it. So podcast wise, I couldn't blog as much. Nah. Hopefully I'll do more blogging in 2021 by God's grace. But podcast wise, I think we tried. Could have been better, but yeah, we tried. So what would you even want me to share with you in 2021? What are the things you want to listen to? Send me a DM on social media, Estitude_ on Instagram, or the Estitude Place, any of the two. Or send me an email. Let's talk. What would you like me to share with you? Or if you're listening to this podcast on Anchor, you can record your message and send it to me as a voice message. What would you like to listen to? Yeah, so that's that. So 2020, we've talked about how the year went, what are some of the lessons learned, some of the things we should do. But again, I'll just share some lessons learned again. I think this year has taught us to value. I've talked about valuing your life, being alive, but valuing family. Many people had to go be with their families more this year than they've ever been with their families. For some couples, this was the year they actually lived together. So couples used to travel, and then husband and wife will not be home for so long, or they even live in the same city, but live in the same house, but then everybody goes to work, so you're not really at home together as much. But this year you had to live with each other. It either could have helped people bond more or led to more divorces. Hopefully not, but you have to value family. For those who are living far from the family, it's a year where you have to call more to just show and appreciate your family more. So yeah, valuing family, valuing friendships and valuable relationships. Then your health. When Corona started again, I think people started getting supplements, vitamins, to boost their immunity. And we just realized that we have to take our health seriously. So it's another lesson for us from the year. I'd like you to show me what other lessons you've learned, in 2020. Send me a DM, send me a chat. Let's talk about it. I love listening to your feedback. I love reading your feedback. For those people that will tell me when is the next podcast episode coming out, who are you featuring next? Thank you so much for making my 2020 on a podcast level. Thank you so much. Right, so we've talked about things we learned from the year. Not taking things too personal. Somebody wants to fight, just let them be, let them go. It's not, there's no time. Personally, I don't like too much drama. So if you want to carry plenty drama, please just walk away. We've just learned to just take things easily and all of that. And then we've learned to depend on God more. So if you're a planner, right, which would bring me to 2021, if you're someone who likes to set goals like me, at this time of the year, I already have my journal for 2021. I'll have my goals broken down into careers, spiritual, physical, financial, And I already have things I'm beginning to work on. But this year, it's a little different. Just like Christmas was different, right, for some people. And I'm taking my time to pray more. Normally I would pray, I realized I need to start praying on my goals like 2018, 2019. But this time around, I'm praying even a lot more. I'm saying, what would you have me achieve in the year 2021? Certain things like milestones I would have to cover. So when I get inspired as some of these things, I can then begin to say, how would I then break this down? How do they interrelate? As opposed to just writing out, okay, I already know some goals. I already know my financials, they have to go up. This has to go down, I already know some of those things. But, how would you want, what are the things you'd like me to achieve in ministry, in my finance, even relationship-wise? Are there some things you want me to do? And just talking to God and just knowing certain things you would like for me to do. and then knowing how to begin to break them down. That's another thing I'm learning to do more, depending on God more. 2020 has taught us that, man, you can like to plan. Even the best of event planners had to get innovative this year, because they had many rules and regulations that were against what they would normally plan with. So how are you planning for 2021? Like I said, don't discount the year and be like, oh, 2020 is old, 2021, I'm not just going to stress. No, prayerfully plan towards it. Let God tell you things that He would want you to achieve in the year. It could be one or two, and again, that's what we're beginning to learn. It's not the quantity of things. My goals are like 50. My goals are like 1 million. I've got to smash, but rather the quality of the things you're able to do. Like for me now, I would like to organize an outreach, and then begin to think, okay, what are the things I need to do to achieve that? What is the time I want to achieve this? Who are the people I need? Just begin to get inspired on those levels. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, you've talked a lot. I hope you're enjoying this. I really like to know what you want me to share with you in 2021. I really, really, really like to know. Just send me a chat on social media, send me an email. Let's talk about what you'd like to see. Who would you like me to bring to the podcast next year? Let's know. Excuse me. So thank you so much, guys. This is likely going to be like the last podcast I'll be sharing this year, but you guys have made my 2020. I want you to know you're part of those who made my 2020. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for listening to my voice. Thank you for sharing with other people to listen. Thank you for your feedbacks. Thank you so much. Now remember what I've told you. Write a Thanksgiving letter to God. Right? Do a review of your 2020 in your journal, in your notes, in notepads. Tell me what you want to see more on the podcast, and even my blog. I hope to blog more, but I want to be more strategic. Again, as one grows older, you begin to do. Did I just say grow older? But it's the truth, right? So as one grows older, wow, you begin to want to streamline things you do and begin to focus and centralize, consolidate your efforts. So let me know. Send me a chat. Let's get talking. So best wishes for the new year. It's so amazing to say new year. It's just so amazing that we actually scaled through 2020, because there are many battles, there are many battles, physical and spiritual, but God brought us through. So thanks to God for the miracles, for the breakthroughs, for every single thing that we went through this year. Many thanks to God. I pray that your 2021 will be more amazing. You will have more reasons to give thanks. You will have spectacular miracles. I pray that your family is kept and preserved, as there's a new wave of the COVID virus spreading. May not come close to your path or your family. Stay masked up, stay indoors if you don't have to go out, and stay safe. I'm sending you love and light and a lot of positive vibes and energy. Cheers to the new year. Bye bye.